computer thing again, as per usual. So just bear with me a second whilst I do that. There we go, that's what we want. And we want to change it to live chat and not top chat. There we go. Okay. Right, we're getting down to business. I'm taking my cardigan off. Although I might be putting it back on again in a minute. The weather here today has been dreadful. And I'm hoping... Hi there, Cindy. Now, 8 o'clock start tonight and last night. Can you just tell me, can you hear me okay, Cindy? Just wait for Cindy to see if she'll respond to me and let me know. And Jane, good evening, Storm here as well. Yeah, it's a bit dreadful. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be coarse and common now. It is windier outside than it is when I've had a tin of baked beans. Ah, dear. Told you, coarse and common. All right, I'm going to get cracked straight on with this because there's lots to do. And thank you for letting me know that you can hear me fine. That's good. So last night I talked about making this cover for your journal, which beats kind of just, you know, putting a picture on and decorating it up. And this was inspired by Rachel of Rach and Bella Crafts. Hello there, Becky. So I showed you how to make the paper bags last night, and I said I wasn't going to put it together because I wanted to ink everything up, and I've now done that. So I thought, well, we might as well put it together. If that makes sense. So here we go. So this was the backboard, and then we'd got 2 bags for the left hand side and 2 bags for the right hand side. So hi there, Angie, have you recovered? Now one of the things that I said was you need to sort of work out the placement of these. So if I just wrap that around there, I want this bag slightly higher. So there's a little bit of the roses showing at the top. Hi there, 1966, AKC. Ah, well, my brace is off, Becky, because I can't find it. And I've worked out that being on the computer is aggravating it. Anyway, there we go. But yeah, I can't find it at the minute, so I just thought we'll just crack on. So this one, which goes on this left-hand side, glue. Ooh, knocking the phone now. I want a little bit lower down. Because the nice thing about these overlapping paper bags is you start to get all these lovely little border pieces. So I want them like that. And then that one will cover the whole piece. Okay, so that's going to sit like that. So I'm going to turn it over and pull those flaps back. And then I'll put glue on one. And we'll stick that down. Now, Rachel hasn't put up her video of what she's meant to be doing of mine today, so I don't know if she's having any problems or anything. I know that she has just moved house, so I don't know whether that's prevented her from doing the video. I don't know. Now, one of the things you need to be careful of when you're gluing these down is you need to make sure that they're pushed right up against the edge as far as they will go. And I've moved those 2 now, look. So let's reposition. So I wanted that one lower down, didn't I? Let's flip that over and put that one on before I move it again. It's good to see you back here, 1966. You must have enjoyed last night. Dumbledore. No. He's suffering as well, bless him. He went to the groomers at the beginning of the week, and he's got an umbilical hernia, and she must have caught him with the razor as she was shaving underneath, and she's caught this hernia, and unfortunately it's snagged it a little bit, but it also means that it's aggravating him, so he keeps trying to scratch at it, and he's had his claws cut, so of course they're a little bit on the rough side. So poor little love is in a bit of a state with himself, really. Okay, so as I say, make sure that it's pushed right up against as far as it'll go. There we go. And then we can smooth that down. Yeah, it's funny because I was only speaking to her, not yesterday, but the day before. And she kind of never said anything, so I don't know. I mean, the other thing for me here as well is that I'm hoping that the weather will not affect the transmission of this live. Because the weather here in the UK, as I say, at the moment is dreadful, and it can have a tendency to affect the internet connection. Right, so that's now all glued in place. So it'll flip, it'll flip, it'll flip, and it'll flip. Yay! So happy with that. Got a little bit of white edge showing there. I might have to ink that up just to see if I can get rid of it a bit. We don't want those white edges showing. That'll have to do, because I don't want to ruin it by over inking it either. Okay, so we can now start to do some decoration. Ooh, ink on my finger, we don't want that. And I have done a little bit of prep work beforehand. Now, I'm going to tell you that at the end there is going to be a giveaway, but I'll talk to you about that towards the end of this video. Now, I have printed off all the likes of the tags, the journaling cards, the pockets. So these are all the pockets, and I sat and cut them all out today. I've fussy cut out, well, I haven't quite fussy cut out, but you know, I've prepared in advance just the small element pieces. I've roughly cut out the flowers in case I want to use any of those. I've made up 2 of the little pouchy envelopes, so I've made up 2 of those ready, which were part of the kit. Oh, this one I didn't glue down because I was going to show you, just in case you hadn't seen one before. Glue, glue, glue. Alright, so what we tend to do when we make these up, you need to make sure that you've inked up all your bits and pieces, all your edges, as the inside as well as the outside. And we're going to fold one edge in, put glue along that straight edge there, but not too much that when we put this piece on top and push on it, that it's going to ooze glue actually into the pouch area. And then we're going to put glue on this side over here and fold it over. And then we're going to glue up the little bottom edge there. Now these come in handy for just filling out the pockets a little bit. So we've got 2 of those. And as I say, I've got all these pockets pre-cut. So those are all the angled ones. Those are the two scallop shape ones, and these are all the rectangular ones. So for the rectangular ones, just pick one up, Carol. One will do you fine. Thank you. We have got 2 side flaps and a bottom flap. Now, just again, in case you don't know, the best way of having this is to put the side flaps down first and then the bottom flap up second, because what you can do is you can put a little dab of glue at the bottom here and here on the sides, fold up that bottom one, and it will hold it in place. It also means that it makes it easier when you're inserting a journaling card tag or whatever into the pocket, that this is above, as in higher, than these 2 side flaps. If you do it that way on, where the bottom one is underneath, you'll find that when you insert stuff, it'll catch on this bottom edge. Alright, so try your best to put them on top. Now, I couldn't follow the printed lines that Rachel did because it meant that they were butt up next to each other rather than overlapping. So I cut mine a little bit bigger. So in fact, I'll show you on that one. Look, so you can see the white edges there. I cut it off at a slightly different angle to enable me to sit this one on top of these 2 side flaps. Okay, just a little side note there. So now we can start to look at this and decide where our pockets are going to go, because they're sort of all ready. The other thing that I've done as well in advance is I cut out the tags singly and I glued them onto the back of some of the decorative paper, and I did that in advance so that I knew that the glue was dry. Normally I would put a piece of card in between these 2 pieces of paper to make it quite sturdy, but we don't want to bulk out this. This is not the main journal. This is just a decorative element to go on the front of the cover. So I want things to be quite thin. Alright, so I don't want to bulk it out too much, but I've prepared those 2 so that I knew that the glue was dry, and then I can cut those out in a bit. Right, let's line these pockets up so that you can see what's what. So go to the inside, and I think I'm going to start off with that one because, oh, here's the dog. Hello there. And you see, it matches up with that paper, so I'm kind of thinking that it can go on the back here. It does cover over that though, but you know, needs must. And I don't want it too close to this hinge because I don't want it interfering with the closing. So I'm just going to ink up the edge of this. And as I say, I'm not going to go overboard with decorating this because I don't want the bulk. So, you know, I'm not adding loads of laces and buttons and bits and pieces because I want to keep it fairly flat. Right, so put some glue on the back of this because it's the inside of the journal that needs to be more decorated than this part. So I'll just stick that bottom bit down and then I can put some glue on there. Now I am going to decorate it up a bit, but I'm just not going to go overboard on it. I also know that I won't get it completely decorated within this video because it's just not long enough for me to be able to do that. We'll probably be here about an hour-ish, just so as you're forewarned. Right, so I'm going to put that one on there because it matches with the paper. Right. I don't think I'm going to do anything with that page. I think I'm just going to leave it to look pretty. This one, ooh, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's see what we've got. Ooh, now then, I think, yes, I was going to say, I think that there is one that matches. But do we want matchy? Yeah, we do. Now, if you see, this pattern here, I could line it up, but then I'm repeating what I've done there. I think what I might do is I might put it on here. The other reason why I'm thinking of putting it on here, I don't know if you remember, but last night I said about these bottom folds really need to go to the back so that they're not so visible. And I did one to the front, and I said, I want to show that it doesn't matter if you happen to get this the wrong way around, because we can cover it over with a pocket. Right, so I could line this line up with this, and I think that that will look good there, and it'll start to cover over this flap that I did the opposite way on. So we'll have a pocket on there. So I'm only aiming to put in 1 or 2 pieces in each of these pockets that I'm going to add. And I'll probably add a bit of a flower, one of the flowers from the kit on top to just decorate it up a bit, but we'll come to that in a minute. We'll just put these pockets in situ first so that we can see what we're dealing with. But at least now you can listen to my reasoning as to why, what's going where. Okay, and then that can sit on there. This one I'm going to leave. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's have a pocket on that one. Maybe one of the little square pockets. That one. Or that one. Maybe that one. And of course I don't have to have them all sat like this. I could put the square ones on sideways. I tell you what we'll do. I'm going to put that one on. I'm going to put this one on the bottom, because I'm going to put something else on the other side of this bag. That's what we'll do. So again, we'll ink it up. And I'm not putting thumb holes on these. Because we're not putting too much in these pockets. Okay, so a little dab of glue down there and there, hold that in place, and then up and around. And again, I'm using my art glitter glue. I'm just going to sit you there. Okay. I want to put a belly band on there. So I have a whole load of scraps. from when I was having a play previously, and obviously from creating this one. So what have we got that would work as a belly band on there? Isn't it funny, you go through all these things and eventually you'll get to one and you'll go, oh, yep, that's the one. No. It's the same as the background paper, Carol. Yes, I know, Carol, but it looks so pretty. Oh, hang on a minute. What about that one? That would be pretty. Oh, I like that one. Right, we're going to have that bit. Okay. Squizzers. Cut it down to size. Now, normally, if this was going inside my journal, I would probably put buttons top and bottom, or brads. But because I want to keep this fairly flat, I'm not going to do that. I could have added lace on each of the sides, but again, I want to keep it flat, so I'm not going to do that. I will do something on it though to add a bit of prettiness to it. I've got to be careful again because this I've over re-inked my pad. One of the things that I do like doing is I like doing faux stitching. My sewing machine's right behind me, but I do like doing a bit of faux stitching. I find, don't ask me why because I don't know, but I find this quite therapeutic to draw straight lines. I'm weird, I know, no need to tell me, but there you have it. So we'll do straight line down there, and we'll do a part straight line down this one. I've just thought of mine shot. Yes, I am. You thought the exact same thing about what, Angie? That I'm a bit weird? Now, I have also got a set of stamps that do this. But I'd still rather do it by hand. And then I'm going to do a ziggy-zaggy line, so it looks like I'm doing some zigzag sewing machine stitching. And then 2 straight lines to finish it off. There we go. And then I can put glue top and bottom. Wrong way up. No, right way up. Yeah. Let's question myself then. Right, so we've got a nice belly band on there. This one. Do you know what I might do with this one? Is I might put a long side pocket here. I'll find the papers for that in a bit, but I want to address this piece at the back, and I want to have a long belly band on there. So let's have a look at these papers again. It's the same paper. Ooh, that one. So there is a paper within the kit that is like long strips of each of the decorative papers, and then there was this piece as well, so that would look really nice on there. So let's chop that out and we'll have that as our long belly band on the back side. Now I'm just thinking, I have got a bag somewhere, and you're gonna have to bear with me whilst I just look for it, because I've just had an idea. So I want that to there. Okay, I'll chop that bit off. Right, I'm just going to take my microphone off a second while I just go and look for something just off to the side. I'll be back in a minute, because I think it's in here. I think. Here? I felt sure I saw you the other day. Oh, this could be it. This could be the one. Yay! I found it. Okay, let me clip you back on. Now, I have been doing a series of videos about things that you could do with your scraps and all sorts of things like that. And one of the things that I suggested was, with your scraps of coffee dyed papers, this might be big enough. And I know that this is going to miff Becky because she hasn't got any of these punches. So if you punch, you know I said about sort of punching the tops of your bags. This was the punch that I used. This was on some coffee dyed papers. So if I chop that up, oh, better check it's long enough. Yeah. So if I chop this up the middle, then it means that I've got a lacy effect without actually bulking it out with lace. So, see, I knew they'd come in handy for something. Okay, let's ink this up. Yeah, Becky's taking over from Pat. I hope Pat's okay. So I haven't seen or heard from her for a little while. And this inking up just defines and separates this belly band from those punched out pieces. Now I could ink the decorative edge of this up. I'm not going to in this instance, because my pad's too juicy for a start. Okay, so I want some glue on the back. Right, I want you a bit closer, thank you. Go. Chop off that excess. And then we'll do the other side. Okay. Chop off that excess. Now, one of the issues that we've got here is you've got these two edges, which when you're inserting a journaling card tag or whatever underneath, they'll snag on the edge of that card. So we'll go to my trusty. Oh, there she is, look. Hello there, Pat. I've missed being here, but life has been life. Ooh, we know about that, Pat. Hope everyone's doing well, or at least better than me. Well, I hope things improve for you, Pat. None of us needs what goes on the horrible side of life sometimes. So I'm using my trusty micropore, or as you guys in the States like to call it, surgical tape. And it just softens that sharp edge of that paper so that nothing will catch on it. You could use masking tape. I would say you could use washi tape, but as many of you know, I don't like washi tape because it never blooming well sticks. So you end up having to add glue anyway to it. Okay. There we go. So that now softens that sharp edge. And that, I'm going to put it that way up, will stick on there. So that lacy bit replaces the use of lace. And then we'll glue it top and bottom. That can sit on there. Just look how pretty that looks. Looks pretty, right? Just gonna have a slurp of tea, as you do. Okay. So, happy with that, happy with that, happy with that. There's nothing there and there's nothing there. I want to leave that one. I really think I need to add something to that. Let me think on that for a minute. Could do one that way. I might do that. That's a nice colour. I might do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do it. Right, so I want to chop that off there. And this one, I'm going to ink up a little bit. Just a little. Ends. Add glue to the sides. That can sit there, like so. Now, I want a little stopper at the bottom. Think about that one in a minute. Right, let me put these border things away because otherwise I'm going to end up with a massively cluttered side and I won't be able to find a thing. Oh, I know what I can put at the bottom. Aha! Quick thinking there, Batman. Okay. We'll come to that in a minute. So I'm happy with that, happy with that. that will go like that. There's a pocket there, belly band there, and I'm going to do a long pocket here. So I want somewhere in amongst this lot. Got all the papers printed up at the side. There we go. So I could use that bit. Right, let's do that. Let's chop it. I think I've finished with all of those pockets now. And the good thing is, because they're all cut out and ready, they can go inside the journal. I want to keep you out for a bit, but I want to cut, oh blimey, I can't see the hole to put my pin in. There we go. Need to cut that out. Sorry love, chopped you off. And I'm going to do it a little bit wider than normal, than what I would actually want it to be. Put you down there because I won't be able to find you otherwise. Okay, because what I would like to do is I want to fold that edge back so that it just gives the edge of the pocket a little bit of extra strength. And then I want to fold that bit back so that that will attach to the page. Right, let's stick you down so that you're then out my way. Right, oh, creasing the paper now. Oh, and again. Right, so look at the height. I'm folding it backwards because I just want to check the height. So then when I've got it marked, I know where I'm folding to. Okay. So now I've got my height, see, so that I can turn it over, pull that edge back, fold that edge over properly, fold that edge over properly, open it back out and cut my corners. Oh. Taper that end. So, have any of you had a go at making the paper bags? Just curious to know if any of you actually had to go at putting together what I showed you last night. Seeing as that is the whole idea, to encourage you to have a go yourself. Yeah. Because it would be a shame for me to do this and then no one else do it. And maybe if you're watching the replay you might have done it, so you'd like to maybe leave a comment. And I know I haven't answered last night's comments yet underneath the video, but as you can imagine I was doing all this prep work today ready for tonight. So then that will sit on there. You know what I've forgotten to do? Inky rinky dinky doo. Oh, is it going to make that much difference, Carol? Seems we're only doing a bit. No, forget that. Okay, so now I've got a long side pocket there. Okay. So, open it up, long side pocket, belly band, little pocket, pocket, little belly band, nothing, little pocket, belly band. Because don't forget, we've also got, if I can get in, we've also got each of these pockets to put something in as well. Aha! Right. No, I'll tell you what we're going to do next. We're going to do a bit of decorating. Clear these scraps away. Because we've got these lovely little cards. We've got the stamps. And when I get there we go, that's the page I want, and that's the page I want. So again, I've talked about this before. When you look at the page, when you're given a page like this, especially one where it's all sort of collage shapes and bits and pieces. So for me here, I can see there's a little piece down there that I would cut out. There's obviously this big piece here. There's the teapot. There's the 1933. There's the 913088 there to cut out. So there's all these different little elements that on a collage sheet you could actually cut out and use. Alright, so even though you might have been supplied with flowers, decorations, little cards, have a look at your bigger sheets as well and see if there's any little elements in there that you quite like. Now I'm thinking on this one, fussy cutting out the teapot. But I want to make sure that I don't cut out that 1933, that I don't spoil it, so that I can utilise that as well. So we'll keep that as a little element, and then I'm just going to roughly cut out this teapot. Alright, you are going to definitely have to talk amongst yourselves for a bit now whilst I fussy cut this out, because I couldn't prepare this earlier because I needed to show you the whole sheet to sort of show you the ideas that, you know, you can use all these different little bits and pieces. Now, I'm not going to decorate all of the pockets because, as I say, there just isn't going to be enough time to cover everything that needs to be covered to bring this to a conclusion. And in fact, I will probably end up fussy cutting this teapot out further, because I would cut out where that handle is, I would cut out that middle section, and I don't want to spend the time doing that when I could be showing you something maybe a little bit more important. So there's going to have to be a little bit of using your own imagination. In a world of pure imagination. Can't sing. I don't know why I bother really. I'm sure I'm trying to convince myself that I can, but I know that I can't. And as you can see, as I'm fussy cutting, it's the paper that I'm moving, the scissors are staying still. I never used to like fussy cutting, but I've kind of got into it recently, but that's what's partly nicky-nacky noodled my wrist up, all the fussy cutting. You see, so I would cut out closer to this image than I have done. I would cut out this bit down here and I would cut out that handle bit, but I just wanted to show you that if I stick that teapot on top of that belly band, you know, that's going to look really nice, and it's a nice decorative element. If I so we'll pop you in there for now because you're going to go on there, flip you over. Now this is quite a plain looking pocket, and again, if this was inside the journal, I would maybe even add a cluster to the pocket, but like I keep saying, and I know I'm repeating myself, we want to keep it flat. And I cut that as straight as a donkey's hind leg. Okay. I wouldn't mind watching you cut out that handle in case you have a hint on how to do that. Okay, well, I'll give you my hint. Karen was saying last night I should do a hints and tips video. Let me do this one and then I'll tell you how I would do it. So I'm going to put that on there. And then there was this page of stamps. So if I use my scallop scissors, I'm going to cut this one out. So I'm going to kind of make a little bit of a cluster, but not quite. Now this is a big scallop and it really needs to be a little scallop, but it'll do. So I could put that little stamp on there and I could put that numbering on there. I could even add a tiny little piece of fabric behind there as well. So if we imagine that this is a piece of fabric, so then I could put the piece of fabric behind there as well. So we've kind of then created a little bit of a cluster. Right, teapot, where did I put you? Pushing me to my limits now, Pat. Okay. So if I was fussy cutting out this, and I've already done one in the other version that I did, I'd poke a hole in the biggest area I could find. Okay? Oh, just twisted my wrist. And then I would cut in a spiral movement, just snipping probably to start with, to create a little bit of a space to be able to get the blades in. And I would keep cutting round in a spinning motion until I got to an edge. Of course, if you're really good with a craft knife, you could cut it out with the craft knife, but I'm not so hot on that. I'm just using the tips of the scissors So I'm almost doing like little tiny snips, but trying to keep it as smooth as I can. I'm not completely closing the blade so that I can slide the blade along the cut area. And you can't rush this, it's got to be done slowly. This is why I didn't want to do it, Pat. So it's all your fault if we go over time. If I just sit it on there. So there you go. Right, so as I say, I need to cut a better line around the whole shape really, but you kind of get the gist. And then the other thing that I would then do, and I've shown you this before, is when it comes to inking up, these are too big. So if you use your little eye makeup brushes, these probably want throwing out now, I'll need to get some fresh ones out, and those would then get inside that little space to just ink up around those little tight corners and edges. Okay, that is different than what I was doing, so I'll definitely try that next time. You're very welcome. Alright, so it'll be like that. So you can go in there for now. Oh, squidged that. And those are going to go in that pocket for now as well. So they can go in there because they're going to sit on that pocket. This one, I would add a flower. See what we've got. Too big. Too big. Might be able to use those. Okay. So if I use these two flowers here, do I use the three? I don't think the three are going to go. Mind you. Yeah, I might be able to use the three. Let's cut the three out and we'll see how we get on. Now, because the stalks are very thin and there's a bit of distance between them, I have to use a bit of artistic license to where I'm actually going to cut these, and I might change it and chop them off. We'll see. Again, I'm just going to loosely fussy cut around for now. I might decide to do a closer fussy cut. And of course, if you're one of those lucky people that have got like a cricket machine, or you know, one of those electronic machines, I'd love to get me one of them. You might be able to put it through the machine and get it to cut them out for you. Now obviously I'm using all kit images because that's my remit. I've got already some pre-cut die cut flowers that are not as big as this, and I could even print these out smaller if I'd really thought about it. And I will probably decorate my normal pockets up with those. But there's no reason why you can't look at your own stash and utilise anything that you have. Right, so I've just done a bit of loose fussy cutting because what I could do, and I probably need to print these out smaller. So I could use all 3 flowers, and what I'd do is I'd stick those 2 down and just a part of this one, and just leave this loosely overhanging the edge of the pocket. Alright, so that is what, I'll bring it up closer again for you to see. Alright, so I'll probably do a smaller version of those, and I would probably fussy cut around the petal shape here, cutting off those stalks. Alright, so that is roughly what I would do on that one. Alright, so I'm going to leave those there, because as I say, it's up to you how you go about decorating your pockets up, just so long as you remember that, you know, we don't want it overly bulky. So I am just going to cut out these tags. I will cut out a tag, and I will deal with 1 journaling card, because I want to move on to the front cover, because I certainly do not want to keep you here all night. Okay, get rid of the rubbish. So I could punch a hole, punch a slot, leave it as is. So that one could go in there, but you know, too much pattern, too much of the same pattern. Could go under there, but again, too much of the same pattern. Wouldn't go in there, just too clashy. And it could go under there, so you could have 1 tag at an angle popping out that way, and this tag at an angle popping out that way, just to make it look a little bit different. In fact, let's just do it. Now again, normally we would add, you know, our laces and our seam binding, our bits of special wool, but we don't want the bulk, so keep the decorating to a minimum. You could even make up one of the envelopes that's in the kit and put an envelope under here. The problem with the envelopes is you've then got to put something inside of them. Right, so you could have the 2 tags at angles coming out like so. Okay, kind of get the gist? Do you kind of get the gist about the decorating? No, wrong way, Carol. That way, that way, that way. May I ask how wide you cut your belly band to be able to punch the sides? Hang on. So like, so like this, these were just scraps. So basically with this, hang on. So look, I've just got loads of scrap strips of varying widths. So these narrow ones, I would probably only punch 1 edge, because the thing is you can trim it down. So these are probably about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. These bigger ones, that's probably about 1 inch wide. So that one would only take 1 set of punches, whereas these I could punch on each edge. And that's why it's handy to do it on the scraps, because then you can chop it down to size. The green bit, I did that, what's that, 1.5 to 2 inches, just under 2 inches wide. I tend not to measure an awful lot, Christina. I tend to go by eye. and I knew that sort of with that decorative pattern bit that was there, I knew that I wanted it close to the edge of the writing there and close to the edge of the writing there. And then, as I say, that was on that wider strip that I'd punched out on the coffee dyed paper scraps, and then I was able to cut it down the middle and stick it onto the back. So yeah, right, then that. Now you can already see, look, it is starting to build up a little bit. And don't forget, I haven't added any tags or postcards to it yet. And also there's the big pockets. Now with the big pockets, I would probably be inclined to get a piece of coffee dyed card or similar, something fairly plain, and I would, if you've got a corner punch, a pretty corner punch, just corner punch the four corners of that, sit it inside, and then from any, hang on, from any of your scraps of leftover papers, if you've got a tab punch, is punch out some tabs from these scraps and add that to the top, so then the tabs are protruding from the top. And what you could do is you could offset the tabs so that each pocket, the tab might be sitting here for this one. These won't be visible from the top probably, but this one would be. So you could have this one over here, and you could have this one in the middle, so that you'd got one here and one here sticking out the top. Does that make sense? If I've got time, I'll do one for you to see. But I want to get onto these other things for a minute. Right, now then. Keep you as a scrap. I want to just do one of these, talk to you about one of these journaling cards. Oh, that was the other thing, wasn't it? Sorry, two more things left about these pockets. So, where did I put that tag? Oh, I put them there. Right, let's just say that I put a tag inside of that pocket. It's quite loose and flimsy and will move about a bit. But if you make these little tiny pockets that were in the kit and put one of those in as well, it's just enough to pad that out to hold the tag in place so that it doesn't move about too much. So that's something else to bear in mind. And then these little pictures of the little girls can be cut out and stuck onto the front of the little pouch envelopes, or they could be used, if you print out smaller versions, they could be used on the fronts of the pockets to decorate the pockets up. There's lots of different options, and it's really difficult to cover all the options. You know, it's about, my job, I suppose, is to encourage you to just stop and think outside of the box a little bit. It's not a do as I do, but it's a do as I encourage you to do. I'm going to slot you under there, because you're going to fall out that big pocket. You have amazing ideas. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Christina. Right, so I can move you guys out the way. I'm going to move these flowers out the way as well. I like to move things out the way so that you can see what's going on. Okay, I am going to cut this one out. Now when it comes to the journaling cards, again, we've got a few options. And as I say, I'm just going to do one. Just to give you is. Stuff over here at the side. So I have these lovely pearlised embossed. I know I'm not right, but I've been afraid of people pictures like that since I was a child. Christina, you're not on your own. Pat doesn't like, you know, like Mr. Tim Holt's paper dolls. Pat don't like them. So I've got these lovely embossed pearlised cards, which I did myself. So you could put your journaling cards onto, I'd need to cut this down a little bit further for it to be put on top of this one, but you could sit it on top of an embossed piece of paper. And I've got, oh, see, the pink one would be pretty for her, wouldn't it, if I chopped it down. You could use your index cards, whether they be fancy ones with dots on. These are too big, but I've got some smaller ones and I couldn't quite put my hands on them. But I could stick that on the back of this journaling card, and it then gives, because this is sort of card, it then gives this some support to make it a little bit firmer. All right, so I could do that. The other option is, one of my papers now. Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo. I've got that many things going on at the side of me. I don't know where anything is. That's not the pile I want. Let's use yours. You could use one of the decorative papers and stick her on top of the decorative paper and have a border of this decorative paper going around her, so that you're making your journaling card bigger. And then when you cut that out, if I just cut it out roughly for you to see, as I say, I just want to give you some ideas. Right, so that could go on there, and then you could do some machine stitching around there. You could even, if I was putting this in a journal, I would actually just stitch around 3 sides and then just have a little pocket in there, or a little pocket at the top up there. But then if you glued that to this backing paper, I would then put a piece of coffee dyed paper on the back. Okay, now what we need to remember is that some of the pockets are small, so they won't take the bigger versions of the cards. But if we look at the likes of this long pocket, we know that we could definitely get something bigger in there. We know that we've got a bigger space here behind this belly band here, and we've got this big belly band here at the back that would then be able to go under. All right, so you can get away with making these journaling cards bigger. Okay, all right, that's that bit done, because I want to move on to the front of this cover. I want to put you away. I want to put you away. There. I want to put you away. This is one of the pages in the kit, which obviously matches the bag that I've got on the front here. Now, I could rip this out by hand, or I could use my metal rule and rip it that way. I am going to rip it by hand, because I want it a little bit higgledy-piggledy. I I don't want it as big as it is. Ooh. Wait, a bit off-piste there. All adds to the charm, Carol. All adds to the charm. Okay. Now I'm actually going to cut this down in a minute, but I want to show you this as an option. So I have my hair. My hair gets everywhere. Look. So I have this foam pad on a reel. You might have little tiny squares, you might have bigger squares. I would ink up around the edge of this. I would add this foam pad to the back, and then I would sit that on top so that it becomes three-dimensional, because remember this is going on the front cover of the journal. Okay, I'm actually going to cut mine, and I'll tell you why I'm going to cut mine in a second. So I'm just going to cut this out. Right, so that will sit on top on there, but I'm going to put the foam pad on it. Now the reason why I'm doing that is I want to do what I did on my original one, which was this. Now there is a Queen stamp. There is also the King stamp. So I'm going to use the King on this one, I think. Let me just cut you out because you're in the way. So I want him sat up there. So I definitely need to ink it up because I don't want that white. I could put foam pads underneath him and make him three-dimensional, but I'm not going to do that because I want to do some stamping. So I'm going to sit that up there. Dumbledore, stop your nibbling. Had to leave his outdoor coat on him, partly to keep him warm, but also it sits on top of his hernia, and it's to try and prevent him from nibbling on it. Okay, now I got this set. It's a Glow Blend set. I'll get it out of the bag so that you don't have to put up with the shine. Now it's actually bigger than I expected it to be. I didn't think it would be as big as it is. And as you can see, there's all these stamps on here. So I could have used one of those, but I wanted to use the kit. But it has got the wavy line bit, and it has got, where is it gone? Because I only used it the other day. Where have you gone? There. Oh, not a million miles away, Carol. This, you know, the little round stampy bit. So, bear with me, because this is one of the things that I've moved, so I don't know where anything is. Okay, well, stamp block. So yeah, I got this off Amazon, and it's Globe Land, Globeland, and I need to be careful with this ink. Oh, I better show you, hadn't I? So I'm using my Lavinia Stamps inks elements, and this one's called Truffle. These are really juicy. Juicy Lucy. So I'm only tapping very gently. Then I can put that on there. Okay, that's that one. Dumbledore, even though you've gone out the room, I know exactly what it is that you're doing. It's a little monkey. Okay, and I want this little date stamp. Put too much ink on that, I think. Since I've gone everywhere but. Oh, blooming neck. Let me just wipe some of this excess off, because it'll be just my luck that this transfers onto my paper bag. Okay. And I'm going to do it down here, because remember that picture's going to go on there. So we'll do you like that. There we go. But I think that that is going to be a handy little stamp to have. Put you over there, put my pin back in my glue for a minute, because that's going to clog up otherwise. Then I just want to quickly ink up this edge just a little to make it stand out just a touch. And I've got my old grubby scissors for this, because you certainly don't want to be grubbing up your scissors with this sticky. One in middle for diddle and one at each end, and that should be ample sufficient to keep it raised. Now there's no reason why you can't add lace onto the front of this, because this is the front, so it doesn't matter about the bulk on the front. Need to try and match up the pattern a little bit that's underneath. Okay, so now we've got a slightly three-dimensional pad there. Okay, right, I'm not going to add lace now because I haven't got the time. So I hope that that has given you some idea of the decorating of the inside of this. Now this is the other thing that kept me occupied today, because I made a journal. And I made the journal so that I can put this onto here so that you can see what's what. So I covered the outside with this pretty paper. I put some lace over the spine. I used the same paper on the inside, put some lace down the edges, and added a pocket on the back. These are the pages that are in here. So you can see there is a variety of different papers of varying sizes with some pockets. Okay, so this is now going to be stuck onto the front of this journal. So I need to make sure that I've got a nice strong glue. So I'm going to put my art glitter glue around the edge. Now you could stick this in place before you start adding your pockets and decorating it up, so that you've got something flatter to deal with. You could add your pockets and then add it again, so that it's something a little bit flatter before you start decorating it up with all your tags and bits. Then I'm going to use my collal glue for the centre, and the reason why I'm not using the collal around the outside is I don't want this glue squidging out, because as I said before, it's quite a liquid glue and can have a tendency to squidge. Okay, talk amongst yourselves a minute whilst I hold on to that, just to let that glue go off, and then I'll have a slip of tea. If you have enjoyed, I haven't finished yet by the way, but if you have enjoyed the two videos that I've done and you're new here, it would be wonderful if you subscribed and came and joined us. So we do lots of different crafting journeys along the way and different ideas, so it would be lovely if you came to join us, and if you could leave a comment, that would be amazing, because it kind of helps the algorithms to know that you've enjoyed the videos, and it will show you and other people more of my videos, which is always a massive help. Now, one of the things that I could have done with this was I could have put glue on the back side just around 3 sides, so then I could have had a pocket in the top. But sometimes you can have too many pockets, and I know that my regulars will disagree with me because they love a pocket. Okay, so that's going to go like that, that's going to go like that, and then I'm going to turn it over to the back because I have fussy cut around this little shape from the kit, which is going to sit on the back there. Right, so I'm just going to ink the edge of this up. Then, as I say, at the end of this, I'm actually going to do a little competition. Pat's just put, what? Can there be too many pockets? Yes, there certainly can. Right, so I'm just going to hold that there for a minute because I have got this beautiful, beautiful ribbon. And I found the end, because that's always a bind. Which way are you going? I'm pulling you. Where are you? There. Okay, let me pull that through. And then we're going all the way down to the bottom. Pull, pull, pull. Pull, pull, pull. Okay, let me just fold you in half a minute. And this, just in case anyone does ask, this is actually meant to be for knitting with. They don't do it anymore. The lady whose it was stopped doing it, which was a real shame. So whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, quick, grab it. Right, so I'm going to do a double length of ribbon because it gives me then a really pretty bow. And I'm going to leave the ends long because obviously the journal is not full of all the bits and pieces, so that will get full. Then what I do is I split the loops, and the inside loop I pull through so that that is a little bit longer. So split the loops, and the inside one I'm going to pull it to make it a little bit longer. Pulling the wrong end, Carol. Pull the right end. There we go. But as I say, I'm going to leave these long because the journal has yet to be filled. And that helps then to keep this closed. And then I will stick this on the back to hold that ribbon in place. Get my Fabri-Tac glue out. will sit on there. And that means now that that ribbon will not move. I love sparkly, says Pat. See, now isn't it funny, because I'm not a sparkly girl at all. Not at all. Okay. So, that is what she will then look like. And then you've got this beautiful piece then sat on top of the front cover. Alright, now I'm going to do a competition. If you would like to win this, and it will be coming blank. Alright, I'm not decorating the journal itself. That will be up to you to decorate it. But if you would like to win this, I would like you to answer me a question and leave it in the comments. And next Friday, I will let you know who's won this journal. Alright, the question is, it's a double-barreled question. I mentioned last night about where I was born in England and where I now live. If you can name those two areas that I mentioned in last night's video, then you're in with a chance for winning. Okay? Some of you already know the answer to this if you're a regular viewer, or you should do. So yes, I thought, because this is not a journal that I will hold on to, I tend not to hold on to a lot of my journals. I tend to sell them. But I thought it might be nice to do this as a giveaway. Oh, Pat's put easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alright, so if you would like to win this journal, and it doesn't matter where in the world you are, I will pay for the postage on it. Okay, if you would like to win this journal, it is blank. I am not decorating the journal. Alright, you need to answer those two questions. Where was I born and where do I live now? I can't remember my own name. It's Cindy. Cindy, just so as you know. And as I say, if you have enjoyed what I've created with this kit, if you would like to go onto Rach and Bella's Facebook group and go and tell them to come and have a look if they haven't done already. If you'd like to give me the thumbs up, if you'd like to subscribe, if you'd like to leave just a general comment. That what name tags are for? Hey? That would be really appreciated as well. So yeah, I hope that I've given you lots of inspiration and thoughts and ideas. And don't forget to look out for Rachel's video. I don't know, as I say, when and if she will be doing one, based on one of my previous tutorials. Please look out for that as well, and go and give her some support for that, as well as all the other creators. And if you type into YouTube search bar hashtag best of Brits JJ, all one word, all the other creators that have been on this journey as well will also be listed. Okay, so I'll just give you a close-up because the lighting's not brilliant. This is a really pretty pink and it's looking quite dark on my screen. I don't know whether it is on yours or not, but it's a really pretty shades of pink. So there you go. Let's just open her up again, just to go through it again. So it does that. Oh, you shouldn't have opened up. It does that. It does that. It does that. And it does that. I will be adding all the... I will decorate all of this part. But the inside journal part itself I won't be. So there will be all the journaling cards and all the decorative bits done on there. Just noticed I've squidged that little bit of border there. go. Right, and then, as I say, you've then got the journal itself. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. If you joined me last night as well as tonight, thank you so much. If you've only been able to join me tonight, thank you so much. If you've only been able to watch the replays, thank you so much. It's been really appreciated, all the views that I've had so far, and the comments, and I will get round to the comments tomorrow, but it's late now, it's 9:30 here, and I'm about ready for my bed. So all that's left for me to say is au revoir, arrivederci, auf Wiedersehen, ciao, and adios amigos. And if you're English as well, bye. Ta-ra. Thanks for joining me, guys, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Take care of yourselves, and I hope you have a lovely, lovely weekend, even if it's making these lovely bags. Take care of yourselves. See you soon. Bye for now. Bye.